Hey Ranger Nation, welcome back to another video, and today I'm giving my thoughts on DonBrothers episode 2. This will be a weekly thing, or at least when I get time, because things have now slightly changed in my personal life. But I will be trying to get these thought videos out as much as I can, but they may be a little bit late. But let's move on to episode 2. And with that, why don't you hit the like button, hit subscribe, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And yeah, let's jump straight into it. I know I may give a review at some point, or I may just give my thoughts on what I kind of like, and this might be a bit better for me. But if you like it, let me know down below in the comments. Now, this episode, I think it wasn't as hyped up as the first one, where I kind of liked it, but I think I was more hyped for the first one because it was different, where this one hasn't changed that much. But I feel like the first one was the best one that they've done so far to kind of get you into it, to kind of get you to know about it. But in this one, I felt like the focus wasn't on the humans. I'm writing this one, it looks like the episode's focused on what humans want, and I don't mind that. So I don't know why I wrote that. It'll probably pop back or something. I think it kind of shifted from Oni's sister a little bit. And I wasn't quite expecting that, because I thought she was going to be the main kind of protagonist all the way through. And it wasn't that bad, but I kind of felt like if this series is going to stick to one thing, stick on her, because she is the more interesting one. She is the best one so far in the series so far that I kind of like. And seeing it kind of shift a little bit kind of made me go, oh, okay. I think that because she's now disgraced, so I didn't mention it in the previous one, but when she's met these new bad guys and stuff, like life changes, or it's bad luck. So where she wrote a manga and she did it and it was praised, but the next day after she got her abilities, she got her glasses and stuff like that, then I kind of feel like, for me personally, it changed. So like all the bad stuff would happen where things were plagiarized and little things like that. So when you see her in the cafe and she's like, I don't want people to recognize me, and she's got like glasses on, like, you know, like fake mustaches and stuff, where it was kind of funny. It's more like, okay, I can see what you mean, but I don't think everyone's going to have a go at you. I think you've got bad luck, but things will change at the very end. And I'm guessing that they'll turn around and say like her manga wasn't plagiarized, in fact they plagiarized her, etc, etc. I see that coming. But I love the fact that she goes like, oh, full power non-stop, and Kaito's like, what the hell are you talking about? So for that little thing, I generally really liked, because it was carrying it on, and it's more seeing the serious Kaito compared to where he's done. So I think that if they do a team-up episode and he's in it, it's like, oh my god, you look just like my manager, and he's like, yeah, and she's like, oh my god, this is so weird compared to what we see. So I'm kind of looking forward to that quite a bit. So you meet the Pink Ranger, and even though you see his backstory on a few things, I didn't mind it, because it's kind of nice. It's I'm the average guy that you'll find, and I think that's why a lot of people can connect to him, because they can see it and be like, hey, this is definitely it. This is definitely how this is going to be normalized and stuff like that. So I kind of thought that this was fun for me. I generally really like that you could see that he's a normal guy, he's the average person, and that adds a bit more kind of depth and kind of texture to it. I think the main thing is I think you see his kind of his backstory, where he gets the power, he then saves his wife from being hit by a truck where he could just push her out the way, but he has to morph, jump through a door, and then obviously they've been saved. But he has bad luck after that, and I'm glad that they're going to keep him with his wife and it's not just something bad. So to me, that was something that I generally really like that connection, where he's found love. There's going to be a main thing with them, and I would hate it if she died, but I can see him dying at the end of the series, or sacrificing himself, which would be a terrible loss, because I generally think he's a really nice character from what I've seen. I really like the thought of having the bad boy, the thief, the person that you don't know, and you see him all the way kind of through, where he's on the run. Now, if it were me, I would have hired the guys who were the Pata Rangers, or at least maybe the Red Ranger, and have him chasing them, because it would feel, I think it would feel a bit more together. Like, it would, even though you know who he is, he wouldn't morph, he wouldn't do stuff, but the episodes that he was in, he would chase the person down, and it would be absolutely awesome to kind of see it. And that's what I really wanted, rather than just some normal detective. Something like that I probably would have planned and asked the guy to come back and just be like, hey, you're in a few scenes, go for it. I think this would be exactly what we want. So that's what I thought would be kind of cool. But seeing the fact that this guy, who you really don't know at this time, is able to kind of use the doors to kind of escape, and you see it again much later on in episode 4. So when they morph, one thing with the Black Ranger is obviously it's meant to be a 3D model. So you've seen it when you've come to the main like fight scene with who's going to be in it, the monster and stuff. So when you see him kind of changing into Reasol Black, you see it's just a puppet head. And I absolutely love that, because to me, I was like, this is what I kind of want. But I know that they've made the actual normal suits, so they could easily change it if they don't like the CG animation. And I think the CG animation's slowly growing on me a little bit. It's not the best, believe me, it needs to be more kind of worked into. But I'm kind of like looking past it, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm glad that this is slowly changing my mind on how the series is in general. I just feel like it's a bit but I love it. I think it's fantastic so far. To me, I feel like this entire thing is completely differently shot. It's not the same as what we've seen previously in other Sentais, and that to me is kind of not worrying, but it's kind of interesting to some degree, because normally I'm like, oh, okay, this is fine, and you kind of get used to one way, but with this one, I think it's slightly a bit different, where that's why I'm enjoying it a lot more, because it's not the normal sense. And as much as everyone says that the split has not happened and stuff like that, I feel like Toei is taking their own steps to do something different, and I think you can see it. Even though it's not happening, disclaimer, I don't care anymore, you know what it is. But either way, I feel like that it has happened, and we're seeing the kind of more creative side of the team to try and save Sentai, to actually try and make it more believable. And I think that's the main thing that I like seeing as much in this. At the time when I wrote this, I wasn't sold on the CGI, and I think I am now, but I'm getting there, because it's the way that they're fighting, the way that they're interacting, and I wouldn't blame them for if they dropped it so they could have normal size Rangers and stuff like that, where if they have something like an upgrade or Kaito gives them new gears and say this will sort that problem out, I feel like it wouldn't matter. But if they carried on for the entire whole season, I think I'd be okay with it now. I'm just a bit I kind of like the transformations, where I think they knew exactly what was going on, so they did kind of want to change it. So they've used past Sentais that are fine, but I like the fact that it's not like Gokaija. So say, for example, Reasol Black can turn into Reasol Black, or the dog thing, Don Brother Black, let's say that, he can turn into Reasol Black. But if you gave him, say, Lupin Ranger version, he wouldn't be able to turn into that, and it's color locked. And we saw this with happening to the Pink Ranger, where he used the gear, but he turned into the Pink Ranger, or Pink Reasol Pink, which worked. And I was just like, okay, that I'm more on board with, because that makes sense. So it's not a carbon copy of Gokaija. They've put some thought into it. So I do like this, and you see it in episode 4. Where they use the gears and they transform into the colors. If the color isn't on the team, they don't turn into it, as far as I know of recording this video on the 29th of the 3rd, 2022. But to the second episode, at least, that's what I think is fantastic. So I'm very much liking that. I like the motif for it, and I think it's quite cool. And the finisher wasn't that bad. Kind of wanted a bit more, but finisher wasn't too bad. And I'm glad that they've kept in the running joke of the Oni's sister has to find Don Momotaro to go, hey, this is the main thing. Like, you know, hey, I pledge my allegiance effectively. So she's going around. I like that sort of joke. It was the same thing in Zenkaija, where they fired the blaster off at people, but then they left it off for Vrun, which really annoyed me a bit. But I'm glad that they kept this joke in, this running joke all the time. So I'm really happy with that. So yeah, we get obviously the new bad guy comes in as well. And yeah, we get the kind of new version where Don Momotaro uses it, turning into the Peach version, and his body's completely useless, which I thought was a very unique touch. But again, we'll see if anything like that happens for the next one. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. The second episode wasn't as strong as the first, but it's still a strong Sentai so far. But I want to know what you think. What do you think about DonBrothers? Is this something that you're going to watch, or are you going to kind of leave it? Let me know down below in those comments. And if you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on all notifications, check out the merch. It's more phenomenal. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. So if I don't see you tomorrow, then I'll see you in a couple of days.
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。